After saying the fourth video might be my last, I noticed something. If I speak, it can be heard as teaching, a claim, a method, a stance. If I stay silent, the silence can be heard as teaching too. See, the ineffable can't be told. That's the small cone here. The mind turns anything, voice or silence, into meaning. So I'm speaking here not to instruct just because words appeared. Take it as sharing, not guidance. When people hear freedom, they often imagine it means doing whatever they want. No rules, no limits, no one to answer to. But that's not real freedom. That's still being trapped in the idea of me and my choices. The assumption there's a solid self at the centre, a me who owns thoughts and decisions. That sense of authorship is still the prison, because freedom here isn't about the self choosing better. It's about seeing there was never a separate chooser at all. It looks like freedom, but it's just another form of dependence, always needing to get your own way. And dependence is the opposite of freedom, because it still ties you to outcomes. For example, if your happiness depends on people always agreeing with you, then you're only free when they do. That isn't freedom, it's just another kind of prison. Of course, we all know that life never actually works that way. But the fantasy of total license, the dream of having unlimited choices and control, still lingers in the background, and that's often what people confuse with freedom. What I'm pointing to here is different. It's not the self getting what it wants, it's the absence of the self that claims ownership in the first place. You can see this in small, ordinary moments. The hand scratches an itch before a thought comes in and says, I chose to scratch. The action happens first. The thought of me doing it comes afterwards. This shows the me isn't the source. It's just commentary arriving late. That's how most of life actually works. Thoughts, feelings and actions arise on their own, and then a story arrives to claim them. It's a bit like a radio. The music doesn't come from the radio itself. The signal is already in the air everywhere. But the radio tunes to a particular frequency, and what you hear comes out in one stream. In the same way, thoughts don't come from a separate me. They arise in the same field or void, but the body and mind act like a tuner, filtering them into a particular stream. Then the story comes in afterwards and says, these are my thoughts. So it's not that every thought is literally floating around waiting to be picked up. It's the conditioning of this body-mind, memory, habits, culture, environment that shapes the flavour of the thoughts that rise out of the field and makes them feel like yours. But the key is, there's still no separate thinker pulling the strings. Think of it like water flowing through a riverbed. The water is the field, always moving, always present. The shape of the riverbed is the conditioning, guiding how the flow bends and turns. Together, the current takes on a particular form. It's not that conditioning creates the thought on its own, and it's not that thoughts are just waiting out there to be picked up. It's more like light shining through stained glass. The field is the light, always present. The conditioning is the glass, shaping the colour and pattern. So what shows up as a thought is the light of the field expressed through the shape of conditioning. But still, there's no separate thinker behind it. So what is freedom in the real sense? It isn't getting everything you want. It isn't becoming invincible or special. It isn't a free pass to act without consequences. Consequences still unfold, but without a separate someone controlling or owning them. Freedom is simply the loosening of ownership. Events still happen. Desire still happens, fear still happens, but without a central me taking credit or blame. And without that, there's less weight, less burden carried. Now, this doesn't mean anything goes. Cause and effect still play out. If you step in front of a car, you get hit. If you hurt someone, pain spreads. If you're kind, ease spreads. This isn't morality imposed from above. It's just how the human world functions. In that sense, freedom doesn't cancel responsibility. It just shifts the idea of who is responsible. In this case, no separate someone, just cause and effect unfolding. Of course, this raises the hard question. What about those who cause great harm? Dictators, abusers, those who inflict suffering on a massive scale. From the perspective of non-duality, even those actions unfolded without a separate self sitting at the controls. That doesn't mean the suffering wasn't real or that consequences don't matter. It only means the idea of a separate, independent doer behind it is an illusion. The horror is still there. The impact is still felt, but no one stands outside life, authoring their part. And the same is true at the other end of the spectrum. When someone brings great kindness, healing, or creativity, that too arises without a separate controller. The beauty is real, the ease is felt, but no one stands apart claiming authorship. Some roles look kind, others cruel. We don't get to choose which one shows up. And yet the recognition of this doesn't numb compassion. If anything, it can soften it. Because in seeing that no one is the ultimate controller, blame and hatred don't hold as tightly. So real freedom isn't the power to do whatever you like. It's being free of the one who believes they're in charge. It isn't about detaching from life. It's about life flowing without a middleman saying, "This is mine." In the end, freedom isn't what you imagine it to be. It isn't something gained. It's what's already here when the story of ownership relaxes. And to be clear, this is not determinism. It isn't a locked script. It isn't a pre-written plan. It's simply life appearing, spontaneous, ownerless, not bound by a fixed design. If this spoke to you, you might also find something in my earlier video. Think I'm a nihilist? Not at all. Thanks for listening.